Welcome back to the Hoop Trick Encyclopedia, and today we're going to be learning a trick that's off body, so you're going to want a smaller hoop for this one. You can use a larger hoop, but it may be a little bit difficult depending on how tall you are, how big the hoop is. Good rule of thumb, smaller hoops will work a little bit better for this trick. This is an off-body trick, so you don't have to bring it to the waist at all. And essentially what we're going to be doing, I'll demo the trick first, is making it look like the sun is rising and setting. Rising and setting. So to start this trick, you want to cross the arms. So the hands are crossed and the palms are facing back behind me, knuckles are forward. So you can lower the hoop down. So if you have the arms extended, you really want the hoop to not be touching the ground. So this is going to make the trick look a lot more dynamic, which is why I recommend a smaller hoop for this one, because as you can see here, if you were to use a larger hoop, your elbows would have to bend just a bit here because look, now the hoop is already touching the ground. So you can do it with a larger hoop, but the elbows have to stay bent and you feel a little bit more closed off in the chest area. So in order to really get that openness and expansiveness across the heart space, you want to have a smaller hoop. You can widen the grip a little bit here just so that the hoop is not touching the ground, and make sure you keep a slight bend in the knees. All right, so oftentimes when I'm teaching this trick, my students get so into learning what's happening that they lock out their knees and they hyperextend the backs of their legs, and that over time, it may not hurt in the moment, but over time it can do so much damage in the knees, the back of the legs, even in the lower back, because as you hyperextend, it thrusts the hips forward and it puts this pressure on the low back. So just want to, mention, try not to hyperextend the knees, take a slight bend in them whenever you're learning a new trick. And if you notice that you have that tendency, just bring a lot more awareness to just a slight bend in the knees. I'm one of those people, by the way, so I need the reminders. That's why I'm giving them. So, rising sun, cross the hands, palms facing back, knuckles forward. And then just like isolation, we want to keep the hoop in this vertical plane. So we don't want it to get all wonky here, vertical plane. And then you just bring the hoop. So my left hand is over top the right and I'm going to the right. Okay, so obviously it would switch a little bit if you're going in the opposite direction. So if you want to go to the left first, right hand would be on top. All right, so left hand on top, going to the right, extend the arms out to the right. And then once you get here, you're keeping the hoop in a vertical plane, bending at the elbows, and then letting the hoop come down behind, almost like we do in barrel roll. The hoop can even touch the back just so that you know it's right there in that vertical plane. And then just gently graze the low back as the hands start to circle down over towards the left, and then straightening, lengthening the arms down towards the ground. Slight bend at the knees. Notice if you're hyperextending already. I promise you, there is a lot to be focusing on in this trick, so it's easy to hyperextend. Okay, and then let's try to do that again. So extend the hoop over towards the right. Start to bend at the elbows, lifting the hoop up overhead. Keep the hoop in a vertical plane. You can look up at it, you can look back at it just to see where it's at. Feel the hoop on the upper back, the middle back, or the lower back, depending on how big the hoop is. And then keep rotating it over towards the left, bring it down and straighten. So you really want to go slow with this trick in the beginning. Don't try to go too fast, right? So take your time, really feel out the movement, try to map out this pattern in your brain, in your muscle memory, because once we start doing something slow and mindfully and we really get it right from the beginning, then you can start to build up a little bit momentum, you can build up a little bit of speed, and you can make it a little bit more smooth or seamless, right? So you can also reverse it. You don't necessarily have to switch the cross of the hands, but I would recommend having the right hand on top if you're gonna do it the other way, just to open up the shoulder in a different way. So remember, just like we do in every posture, in every hoop trick, you want to do both sides, both directions. Let the right hand be dominant, let the left hand be dominant, and really feel that flow out on both sides, because this is a little bit more of an opening side bend in a way as you're moving through this posture. It's a heart opener, and you really want to make sure that you're opening and you're stretching both sides of the body so that you're not getting overly flexible on one side and more constricted on the other. Okay, so rising sun is something that can be done when you're doing anything with, let's say, a 2B weave, like a forward and back, right? And then you can just bring it down, cross the arm, and go straight into rising sun, right? You can also go in from isolation, flipping the hoop down, crossing the hands, and then moving right into rising sun. Maybe switching the directions, right? You can go from barrel roll into rising sun. So there's really a lot that you can do with it. I think it's a wonderful trick to do, and it's really beautiful because it does represent the rising and the setting of the sun. So I hope that you have just as much fun with this trick as you have with all the other ones so far. Don't forget to practice at least 10 minutes a day, and keep practicing the other tricks that you've learned. Even if they're hard to get in the beginning, all it takes is consistent practice. Keep revisiting them, even if you need to take a couple days off from a specific trick and then come back when you're feeling ready to take it on again. So that's all for today, and I will see you on the next lesson.